All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to tackle a really big idea. What if storytelling is humanity's greatest superpower? But, and here's the twist, what if in our modern world, it's also become our biggest vulnerability?
So, I want to kick things off with this one central question, because it really frames everything we're about to talk about. What if our greatest strength, the very thing that let us build entire civilizations, was also our biggest weakness? It's a heavy thought, right? And it gets right to the heart of our relationship with stories. So, first things first, let's establish what this superpower actually is. It's something we all have in common, something that's just fundamentally human.
It really is this simple. We are moved to action by the stories we tell each other. I mean, think about it for a second. How often do facts and figures truly inspire mass movement? It's rare. But a really compelling story? That can literally change the world. This ability to connect and cooperate through narrative, that is our superpower.
Now, the source material for today's explainer actually gives these powerful stories a name: we memes. And no, we're not talking about internet memes. These are the huge, shared ideas and values. Things like trust, or even the concept of money, that allow millions, even billions, of complete strangers to cooperate with each other.
Just look at these examples for a second. Honesty, trust, money, freedom. What do they all have in common? Well, none of them physically exist. You can't hold loyalty in your hand. You can't touch freedom. They're just incredibly powerful shared stories that we all agree to live by. And they form the very bedrock of our societies.
Okay, and this brings us to the central conflict of our story today. Our superpower of storytelling has been put on steroids by technology, and that has created what you could call a double-edged sword.
You know, for most of human history, stories spread pretty slowly. Word of mouth, maybe some written tablets, but technology changed everything, from the printing press to radio and TV, and now, wow, the internet and social media. Our ability to share stories has grown exponentially. Each step just cranked up the speed and the reach of our narratives.
Radio is a perfect example of these two faces of power. Think about the 1940s. On one hand, it was this amazing unifying force. You had American soldiers all over the world united by listening to baseball games from back home. But on the other hand, it was a terrifyingly effective tool for mass propaganda used to demonize entire groups of people. It's the same exact technology, just with two vastly different outcomes.
And don't think for a second this is just ancient history. Look at these more recent examples. Social media was a key tool for mobilizing people during the Arab Spring, a clear force for good. But those same technologies have been used to spread hate, from the hate radio in Rwanda to social media in Myanmar and WhatsApp-fueled mob violence in India. That sword cuts both ways, and today, the blade is sharper than ever.
So, how does this actually happen? How is our superpower so easily turned against us? Well, it turns out there's a pretty predictable pattern, a kind of manipulation playbook, if you will.
The big question is this, right? How does new media, with its insane speed and reach, exploit our natural love of stories to divide us instead of uniting us? Let's break down the mechanics.
The playbook is surprisingly simple and kind of scary. Step 1, you trigger our most primitive emotions, that deep-seated fight-or-flight response. Fear and anger are incredibly powerful motivators. Step 2, you distract us from the complex problems right in our own backyard by focusing all that anger on some remote other, a scapegoat. And finally, step 3, by getting us to spend all our time and energy on these distant conflicts, the trust within our actual real-life communities just starts to wither away. And here's what that looks like in the real world. The tactic is to use these powerful, emotional, individual stories, these anecdotes, to attack a much larger, systemic good. A single powerful story about supposed election fraud is used to undermine faith in the entire democratic system. An emotional story about a threat from an outsider is used to make us forget the massive systemic benefits of immigration. The crucial point here isn't about the validity of any single story, it's about the strategy of using small, emotional narratives to tear down large cooperative systems we all rely on. Okay, I know this all sounds pretty grim, but the story doesn't end there. This final part, and it's the most important part, is all about how we can fight back and reclaim our superpower.
And the solution starts with you and me recognizing a fundamental truth. We are not passive consumers in this. We have agency. We have the power to choose which stories we listen to, which ones we believe, and which ones we share. That choice, that's where our power really lies. So, how do we actually do this? Here are 4 practical, actionable steps. 1. Choose to support media that is actually self-aware of its own impact on the community. 2. Don't just fact-check claims. Fact-check the behavior of the organizations making them. 3. Be a conscious, critical selector of the information you let into your brain. And 4. Do what you can to promote media literacy in your own community. So what should you be looking for? Well, when you're deciding what to watch or read, ask yourself, is this trying to explain a complex underlying process, or is it just trying to make me angry or scared? Does it talk about models and evidence, or just make bold assertions? And maybe most importantly, does this feel like it's serving the health of my community, or is it just trying to get a rise out of me for clicks?
You know, when you boil it all down, the process for fixing our information diet is basically the same as any evolutionary process. We have to vary what we consume, observe the results it has on us and our communities, select what actually works for the better, and then repeat. It's a constant cycle of improvement.
I want to leave you with this powerful quote from the source material. Stories are like the code of human culture. They literally help define who we are. So the challenge for all of us, living in this age of super amplified narratives, is to consciously select for the healing codes, the stories of collaboration, of understanding, of progress, and use them to build the world we actually want to live in.